Hi, and welcome everyone. This is the TradeStation Masterclass. My name is Jesus Nava. I'm the Director of Client Training and Education for TradeStation Securities. Today, we're going to do an EasyLanguage session. EasyLanguage is TradeStation's proprietary programming language that allows you to create custom studies and custom strategies. So if you're new to TradeStation, this is how you customize your TradeStation platform to be exactly what you want it to be. Today, we're going to focus on two features of EasyLanguage, which are print and commentary. These are two reserved words that you can use in the language that allow you to find errors or debug your system. So we're going to take a look at a strategy as an example where we can utilize print and commentary and see the application of these two words. Before we start on today's topic, let's go through some disclosures. Just keep in mind that every symbol and idea that I talk about is for educational purposes only, that these are not recommendations of TradeStation. Also, active trading is not suitable for everyone, and past historical performance is no guarantee of future results. So let's go through print and commentary from a theory perspective, where we are going to define the two terms, and then we'll go over to the EasyLanguage development environment and see these two terms used in a practical setting. Print statement. A common challenge for programmers is identifying and fixing logic errors. There is a verification process within the development environment that checks for EasyLanguage errors. And if it finds a word that it doesn't recognize, or it finds a statement that it doesn't verify, maybe you missed a punctuation mark, maybe you misspelled a word. EasyLanguage is very quick at letting you know, hey, this is an error, and it'll highlight the area where the error shows up. But many times you'll find errors that are user type of errors, where maybe you misplaced a mathematical operator. Maybe you used the wrong one. Maybe you flipped it. Maybe instead of saying greater than, you said less than. Instead of a minus, then you used a plus. So these two examples that you see here on the screen, at a glance, may look very similar, but they will completely throw different results. That's what it says here. A small difference here leads to very different chart results, and it's not always clear which one is correct, because mathematically they both work. I mean, they both throw a result. Now, which one is correct? That's when you have to go back and look at the logic of this expression to define or determine which one is the one you want to use. This one on the top, where you have in the nested parentheses, you have the high minus the low, that gives you the range of the bar. And then you multiply that by 0.5, that gives you the mid-range. And then from the high, you subtract that. So this expression that's at the top will result in a value that is the midpoint of the actual bar. The one below it, the only difference is that instead of a minus is a plus. So here, instead of finding the range, we're adding the high plus the low, which is a totally different mathematical result. We multiply that by 0.5, and then we subtract that from the high. So yes, I mean, you are able to perform the mathematical calculation, but the result is going to be totally different. These are the type of scenarios, or the type of situations where print and commentary will come in very handy, because you'll be able to print, value 1 and take a look at the number that is being thrown. And that way you can say, well, this seems off because it's not what I was expecting, especially if you're looking at a midpoint of a bar. If that midpoint value falls outside of the range, you know that you did something wrong. But knowing that value, it's important. And that's where the print statement comes in, because then you can tell EasyLanguage, well, print the value that is inside value 1 so I can confirm if it's correct or not. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So we're going to use a print statement to track down bugs in your code. And what the print statement does, it sends data to the print log in the desktop platform to verify calculations and output. So it is within the desktop where you see the printouts of the print statement, and you'll be able to confirm, the printouts. What are the benefits? It helps you identify bugs, calculation errors, and check code logic. And I emphasize code logic because in today's example, we're going to take a look at a strategy that has multiple conditions. And when you're tracking multiple conditions, it may be complicated to know exactly when all these conditions align so that you can take a trade. So using print statements and commentary allows you to send statuses of your strategy and check whether a trade should have been generated or not. An example of a print statement is what you see right here. Very straightforward. You just use the word print inside the EasyLanguage code, and inside parentheses, you just provide every expression that you want to be printed in the print log. For example, here we have the date. The date inside quotations works as a label. A lot of times when you print values out to the print log, it is beneficial to have labels so that you know which one or what value is which. And that way you're able to identify the values that are printed. If I just print date in EasyLanguage, date will be printed as a number. And unless I have the label date in front of it, I may just think that it's a calculated number from a formula instead of the date expression. We'll talk about data a little bit once we start printing out into the print log. Same with time, same with bar close. A lot of times we have these labels added into the print statement so that they get printed exactly as the word is inside quotations. So think of those as column headers or words that are printed exactly as they are inside the quotations. One thing we need to keep in mind is when we use a print statement is to never use it in a real-time setting. The reason for that is because it's resource intensive. Remember that EasyLanguage is running. EasyLanguage has been optimized and it's efficient when it runs. But when you use the print statement, it's going to send information to the print log, which is separate than EasyLanguage, and that process may be taxing on your computer. And if it happens on every single tick, and you're looking at a security that ticks, dozens of times every single second, then you may have an indicator or a strategy that is using up all your system resources. So avoid using print statement inside of a real-time chart or radar screen that are tick by tick calculations. Let's just keep that in the back of your mind because it's going to be helpful when you apply it on your TradeStation to avoid your computer hanging up. To use the print log, once you set up your code with the print statement and expression, you need to access the print log. And in order to access the print log, you have to go to the TradeStation desktop, go to View, and then you have the EasyLanguage print log in there. We'll take a look at the platform and find it there. The menus may have changed. I think we still have a View menu. I know a lot of this content is created on previous versions of TradeStation. We're just going to make sure that we have it on TradeStation 10. And once you have the print log, of course, the print log is going to receive all the outputs that are sent by the print statement, and you'll see everything that is printed there. A few things that you're going to find in the print log is that you can clear it. So right-click inside of the print log to clear all the information in case you want to start from scratch. Right-click and print to send to a physical printer or a PDF. And then you have preferences as well, if you want to customize the colors, the font style, and size. I mean, those are things that you can do to the print log. And if you use it, a lot, then it may be interesting to change some of these styling preferences. Commentary, just to talk about the two things at the same time, they're very similar in the sense that they're going to send study data to a commentary dialog. So that's the difference between the print statement and the commentary statement, is that print sends to the print log, commentary sends to the commentary dialog. But the information that gets printed or the information that gets commented is exactly the same, or the statement is set up exactly the same way. For example, look at this example. It says commentary, and inside parentheses, you have all the items that you want to print. And here we have the date, the time, the bar close, exactly as we had on print. But instead of using the word print, we use the word commentary, and it sends that information to a different dialog. We're going to take a look at that. Each one has its benefits, and they shoot out the same information, or they can shoot out the same information, but the way that you access the data is going to be different. To set this up, you have to modify the toolbars. Analysis commentary is one of those tools that was part of the TradeStation desktop back in the days. So it's an old feature. TradeStation used to have indicators that provided you some sort of insights into what the market was going to do. Like it would provide you, hey, based on this moving average, we think the market is bearish or bullish, whatever the commentary is. And most of the studies inside of TradeStation used to have this commentary, and you were able to click on any bar and kind of get a sense of what the market was doing. A lot of the commentary was stripped out of those studies once we became a broker. As a regulated broker, we are not allowed to provide any sort of commentary or assumption or kind of a recommendation. So all that was stripped out, but we still maintain the analysis commentary functionality, which you can use on your EasyLanguage custom studies. And you can create these commentaries that pop up based on conditions that are being met. Okay, so we're going to show you how to customize the toolbar to find the analysis commentary icon. And the same way that print calculates on every bar, this is exactly the same. All right, so that's it. So let's go ahead and take a look at the two words in a more practical setting. Let me go ahead and switch over here to my TradeStation platform. Let me switch this chart to a daily chart of Spider. And let me turn on account orders and positions. Let's build a multi-condition strategy. We're going to write it from scratch, and you're going to see how I'm going to use the print statement to take a look at how the conditions are being met. So we're going to create a strategy that uses simple moving averages, RSI, and it also uses a key reversal pattern. And what we're trying to do is only submit a trade if the three conditions align. So we're going to set those three conditions up, and we're going to tell the strategy if we have a true result or a true expression on each one of those conditions, then we're going to take a trade. Let me open up my EasyLanguage development environment. All right, and here, let me go ahead and close this indicator. I'm going to go here to the little drop down, and I'm going to create my strategy. Again, if this is the first time that you use EasyLanguage, I'm going to go a little bit fast and maybe a little bit more advanced than the basic. But a lot of these things you can do yourself as well to build strategies from scratch. I'm going to call this @MC. These are just, that's the prefix I use for masterclass. I'm going to call this strategy SMA for simple moving average, RSI for the relative strength index, and I said key reversal, KR. So these are just abbreviations that you can use on the name The more abbreviated it is, it'll be easier to identify. I don't have this long name. So that's my simple moving average, RSI, key reversal. And I'm just going to, add some additional exits to it. But you can already tell what are the things that I'm looking for in this strategy. I'm going to click OK here. And I'm going to start declaring some variables. Variables are kind of little containers that allow you to create calculations. And since I'm looking at simple moving averages, RSI, and key reversals, I want to declare these as variables. So I'm going to call this SMA condition. We're going to initialize this to false. Variables need to be initialized, and you have to tell EasyLanguage what type of variable it is. This particular one, it's a true false variable, and we initialize it to either true or false. It doesn't really matter. We initialize it to false because we want to switch it to true once the condition is met. But if it was a numeric variable, I would just initialize it to a number. And usually, we use the 0 just as a starting point. But SMA condition is a true-false condition for the simple moving average. I'm going to say RSI condition. It's also going to be false. And I have the key KR, which is the key reversal condition. And I'm also going to make this false. A couple more things that I need as a variable. I need my SMA, which is numeric. My SMA is my simple moving average. I'm going to create a word to, calculate the simple moving average. And I just have to reference my SMA. Okay. And then I'm going to do my RSI. Those are two calculations that I'm going to do right now. So let's go ahead and do that. So my SMA is going to be equal. There's a two-step process here. You declare your variables, and then you assign the variable calculation. So now that I told the EasyLanguage, I'm going to start using this word that's called my SMA. Now I'm going to tell EasyLanguage what that word means. And my SMA is going to use a built-in function that we have in the program or in the language that creates an average. And that function is called average. Functions inside of EasyLanguage turn purple, and anytime you type in something that turns purple, like the word average, you know that it's calling a function, which is a snippet of EasyLanguage programming that performs a particular function. And this function is going to expect two parameters. It's going to expect for us to tell it what is the value that we're trying to average, and we're trying to average the closing price, and that's why we just type in the close for a period of 30 bars. I'm going to hard code some of these values. If you've been to some of my EasyLanguage classes, you know that this 30 can be declared as an input. It gives you flexibility to modify that 30 if you need to. But again, today's class is all about print and commentary. And I just want to set the stage so that we can understand how to use this print and commentary. Okay. My RSI is going to be very similar. We use the RSI function, and the RSI function is calculated on the close over a period of 14 bars. By the way, every statement inside of EasyLanguage ends with a semicolon, so it's important that we understand that. Every time you end an expression, end it with a semicolon. All right, so SMA condition equals, the SMA condition, we said that is a true-false variable. So what we put in here cannot be a mathematical calculation resulting in a number, because we didn't declare it as a numeric variable. It has to result in either a true or a false. So for the condition, we need some sort of a comparative expression so that it gives you a true or false result. In this case, we want the close to be greater than my SMA. Very straightforward. So when the closing price is above my average, that's my first condition. If it's met, I'm going to say that I'm sort of in a bullish mode. Okay. Now my RSI condition is going to be equal to, and we're going to say my RSI is greater than, let's say 40, and my RSI is less than, I'm going to say 60. So this is an RSI value that is between 40 and 60. So it has a room for it to become overbought. So we don't want the security to be already overbought. We don't want the security to be oversold. We want the security to be somewhere in between so that there's room for it to grow up. Okay. And then we have the KR condition. This is the key reversal. And the key reversal is a 2-bar pattern where the close is less than the close 1 bar ago. And I'm sorry, not the close. We're looking at the low price. So we have a low that is lower than the low 1 bar ago. So we have consecutive lower lows, but then the close is greater than the close 1 bar ago. Historical references are done with square brackets. So whenever you put a number inside square brackets, you are telling EasyLanguage to look that number back. So whatever the interval of the chart is, it'll be that amount of time. So if you have a daily chart, like we do on TradeStation, it'll be 1 day back. So 1 bar. So the 1 just means 1 bar back. The interval on the chart is what determines, how far back it is. If it's a daily chart, it is yesterday. But if you have a 5-minute chart, it'll look at, the bar before, which is 5 minutes ago. So just keep that in mind. The number is going to be the number of bars back. So this is the condition of a key reversal. So you have consecutive lower lows, and then the close is higher than the previous close. The key reversal up is a bullish key reversal. All right, so we have our conditions, we have our variables. Let's verify this. I sometimes verify just to make sure that I don't have any errors. And that way it'll be easier for me to continue fixing any future errors if I have to. Don't get into a problem of having, hundreds of lines of code. When you verify, it's so much more, it's harder for you to find those errors and fix them. Okay, so this is our entry condition. We're going to set up our trade here. I'm going to say if SMA condition equals true. We can say, SMA condition equals true. We don't have to. If you call the condition, it assumes that you're looking for a true condition. I'm going to leave it here like this to make sure that it makes sense. If SMA condition is true and the other condition is RSI condition equals true, and the other one is KR condition equals true, then buy next bar at market. So pretty straightforward, right? So we have alignment between the 3 conditions. Doesn't matter, some truths here are capital letters, some true here are kind of sentence case. Doesn't really matter because EasyLanguage is not case sensitive. So you don't have to stress about capitalizing, words and stuff. I use capital letters and lowercase just for readability. Sometimes it makes it easier for you to read, but if you have some words in capitals and some others don't, it doesn't really matter to EasyLanguage. So we have this condition. If all my conditions align and they're all true, then I'm going to buy next bar at market. Simple and straightforward. Let's go ahead and verify this and see if it works. Let me go ahead and go back here to my TradeStation. And I'm just going to add the strategy that I just created. Studies, add strategy. I'm going to go up here to @MC, and we called it @MC SMA RSI KR. We click OK. And since it only has one entry condition, it won't generate buys and sells. We just have one entry And it's just going to take that one entry and hold on until it does something else. But if I scroll back, you guys are going to see that it does enter that single trade on this bar, which this is the chart going back 2 years. On February of 2023, it generated a trade because it found that all those three conditions were true. Of course, I don't have the indicators in place. I don't have any moving averages. I don't have key reversal show me's, and I don't have RSIs, but I'm going to assume that it met all those conditions that are there. I can add the studies just for visibility. Now, for example, let me go ahead and add the study. We are doing a simple moving average set to 30 days. So let's go here to moving average, one line. Let me prompt for editing. I'm going to go to the inputs and set it to 30. So on that bar, you can see how the closing price was greater than the average. So that condition was met. Studies, add study. Let me go ahead and add the RSI. For the RSI, I'm using default settings. So on that bar or the bar before, because remember that we're buying next bar. So the conditions are, the conditions are analyzed on the prior bar. On the prior bar, the RSI was 56.14. So it met the criteria. We were looking for an RSI between 40 and 60, and that's where it traded. And lastly, let me zoom in a little bit here on this chart. You can see that the condition is met. This is the key reversal. Why? Because you have a low that is lower than the previous bar, but the closing price is greater than the prior bar. It's a key reversal up. So those three conditions are met. It bought the next bar. So how do we do print statements? Well, very easy. Let's go back here to my code. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come here to the bottom of my code because I may want to add additional conditions here. I'm going to do the word print. And I'm going to do a label. As I explained, if you do a label, it'll print exactly what is inside quotations. And then I can just print whatever value is it that I want to print. I want to print the date. I also want to print the conditions. So SMA, I'm going to do equal. And then I do SMA condition. Then the other label is going to be, I'm going to add a space. The other label is going to be RSI equal. And I'm just adding the equal because I want to do the equal and I want it to show up on the screen. And this is RSI condition. The next label is going to be KR equal. And it's going to be KR condition. And that's it. That's my print statement. I'm printing those three conditions. And let's go ahead and see how it prints. Let me go ahead and verify this. Now I have to go back to my TradeStation because on my TradeStation, I'm going to go to the View menu, which it's right there in the PowerPoint. View menu, and I'm going to click on EasyLanguage print log. That's where the print log is. So EasyLanguage print log, and I see the print log down here. Let me open this up a little bit more. It's going to print, when you use the print log, the strategy, it's going to recalculate and print something for every single bar. So the last printout or the last line that it prints is going to be today's date. So on today's date, which is 1/24/11/04, this is the way that EasyLanguage prints date. And you have to be aware of that format because if you print date, it's going to be confusing if you're not aware of this. Back in the days when EasyLanguage was created was before the before the 21st century started. I'm talking about the last century, the 1980s I'm talking about, So when the date was created instead of EasyLanguage, they only created a 2-digit date. So when the year 1999 came around, Of course, the year was 99, but the switch to 00 would have meant that it had switched back to the 1900, so 1900, which didn't make sense for EasyLanguage. It was going to break all calculations based on that, what they call the Y2K problem. So the solution was to increase the two-digit year to 3 digits. So when the year 2000 came around, instead of making it 00, we made it 100. So from 1999, the year was 99. Once it switched over to 2000, then from 99, we went to 100. So the year 100 was the year 2000. Kind of messed up, yes. And you'd have to have history with TradeStation to understand and be aware of that. So the year 111 is the year 2011. In this case, we are looking at the year 124, which is the year 2024. Okay, so just keep that in mind. That's the way that EasyLanguage date prints. And then we have 1104, which is November 4th. Okay, and then you see the date printed on every single bar. If I go all the way at the very beginning, the very first bar was the year 2023, January 20th. All right. And then it gives you the result on each one of the conditions. Notice that on that very first bar, we had a true condition on the simple moving average. The RSI was false and the key reversal was false. So on this date, let's check the date of the bar where the strategy conditions were analyzed. This is the prior bar to where the signal shows up. That date was 2023, February 10th. So February 10th is right here. There it is, February 2023, February 10th. You have a true result on each one of the conditions. So they all align, and that's where the trade is generated. So this gives you an understanding on looking at what the state of each one of those conditions are, and somehow get an understanding of why the strategy is behaving a certain way. You can also do numeric printouts. For example, let me go back here to my code and add a couple more things so you can see what we can do here. If market position equals 1, then begin. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set some exits based on ATR. I'm going to sell next bar at entry price. And I'm going to do a target and a stop. So I'm going to do 2 selling transactions based on the entry price and a certain differential, a certain offset. So for my profit target, I'm going to add something to my entry price. And for my stop loss, I'm going to subtract something from my entry price. Now I can do a fixed value, or I can do something that is calculated based on the bar, the securities. That way I can apply this strategy to different securities. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a calculation up here. So let me go ahead and do something that allows me to do additional calculations. Remember that at the beginning we declared variables and then we assigned variables. We're going to do something very simple. I'm going to go here to my variable declaration statement. I'm going to do target ATR. I'm going to use ATRs to calculate my target and my stop. And I'm going to do my stop ATR. It's also going to be numeric. Okay, let me break this line so it doesn't run off the screen. Okay, so we are just adding more variables to our declaration statement. And all we need to do is come here to where we are assigning the calculations to define what those are. And target ATR is going to be equal to AVG true range. This is a function. Notice how it turns purple again. Same as the average. You don't have to write out the formula of the average true range because it's already created for you into a function. And all I need to do is call the function and say for how many bars I want that average true range to be calculated. And then the target, I can set it just to the average true range. Let's just set it to, what I can do is, yeah, let's just leave it here. Average true range. And we can modify it later. Stop ATR equals AVG true range. Because I mean, you can also apply a factor. For example, if you want to do a 2-to-1 type of ratio, then you multiply 1 by 2, and then the other one you leave it single. Or if you want to do a 3-to-1 ratio, then you can just apply a factor here. So if you want to do that, let's do ×3. And for the stop, I'll do ×2. That way it just multiplies whatever that average range is. And then you can set a target and a stop that is not so tight. I can come back and adjust those if I need to. So in here, I'm gonna do the target. I said I needed to add, so I'm gonna add my target ATR. And this will be a limit order. So target ATR limit. And the other one is minus stop ATR stop. And that's it. Now I have my two selling conditions. Notice that I created an if-then block statement. It's called a block because it has multiple actions. So it has a begin and it has an end. It's different than this one. This is just one single action where if, then you have all those three conditions, then buy next bar at market. It doesn't have a begin and an end because all I'm doing is one action, which is buying next bar at market. But if you have multiple actions, then you have to create a block that has a begin and that has an end. So if the condition is met, then do this, do this, do this, do this, and do that. Okay, so you have multiple actions. Let me verify this. So the verification is successful. And let me see if my strategy is working here on my screen. Okay, you can see that my strategy is kind of working. So let me go ahead and add to my print statement those values. So in my print statement, let me come back here at the very end. I'm going to add a comma, and then I'm going to print my target ATR equal. So remember, first a label, and then we print the value. We can print date, we can print variables, we can print anything in here. And then I want to see the stop. What I want printed, it's probably, let me print this first, and then we'll take a look. ATR equal, and I'll do stop ATR. Let's verify this. And if I go back here to my TradeStation, let's scroll down. And you can see that the new print statements, remember that I can right click and clear, and it clears everything. All you need to do is reload the chart so it recalculates the strategy and it prints again. Now the target ATR and the stop ATR values are put in here, but these are the values that are being added and subtracted from the entry price. If you want to see the actual price of those transactions, then we'd have to come back here to the code, and instead of printing just that, we have to print this expression. So entry price, and I can put it here. Entry price plus target ATR, and entry price minus stop ATR. So if you use the full expression, then it'll do the mathematical formula in the print statement. Let's verify this. And if I go back here to my TradeStation, let me scroll down. Let me clear this and then reload, Control R. Yeah, it didn't do it here. So what we can do is go back here to the code. So it doesn't do, I thought it was going to do the mathematical formula, but it doesn't do it here. So one thing that I can do is do the calculation up here. So entry price plus, huh, uh, 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 and then entry price minus. We can do it up here. And then all we need to do is reference the target ATR and the stop ATR. Let's see if this works. Now we can remove this from the print statement. Go back to TradeStation. Let's reload. Oh, okay. Oh, This makes sense. It only has an entry price. It only has an entry price if the conditions are true. Because if the conditions are true, is when it is in a trade and is able to capture entry price. Otherwise, entry price is zero because there's no position. That's why it's not affecting those values. But you can see that whenever the conditions are true, for example, here on October 30th, my three conditions, not October 30th, but October 29th, my three conditions were true. So it traded the next day, and then it has my target and my stop. That was the trade here that happened just a few days ago. Let me just open up my chart. So this was October 29th, which is right here. And it actually stopped at 575.89. So these are ways that you can print these values over to the print log and check them. I was trying to get, the actual price, the target price and the stop price. But as I said before, when you go here to the code, I'm referencing entry price. And entry price is only has a value if you are in a trade. Otherwise, it doesn't calculate, it doesn't give you the price on every single bar. So that's it. That's my class. Oh, I did want to show you commentary. Commentary is Sebastian is suggesting to move 25 to line 18. Well, even if I do that, I'm still referencing entry price. Entry price is something that only has a value if you have an open position. I could do close, instead of entry price, and this will calculate sort of a target and a stop for every single bar. Now, if I look over here at the very bottom, then I have a stop and a target price instead of just the value. So let's go back here to my code. Let me show you commentary. Remember that commentary, it's very similar. All we need to do is change the word print to commentary. Make sure the word comes up in blue. Otherwise, you're misspelling it. So commentary is a reserved word, and let me verify this. And notice that I used the exact same print statement, just change the word print to commentary. Now, where do we find that commentary? Because maybe you don't like to have this panel open at the bottom. Let me go ahead and remove it. And let me show you where you can access that commentary. You need to modify the toolbar. Remember that this is a feature, and this is something that I explained at the beginning of the presentation, that it's a feature that existed on older versions of TradeStation. Once, this new version of TradeStation came out about 10 or 12 years ago, we don't have that button on the toolbar anymore because it's not used that often. But if you want to use it, you have to modify the toolbar. So click here on the very last button here on the toolbar and click Customize. And what we want is go to the toolbars selection and enable the Chart Tools Classic. Chart Tools Classic gives you what the toolbar looked like on that older version of TradeStation with all those different buttons. In fact, if you like this toolbar more than what the current toolbar is, then you're welcome to leave it there. So let me go ahead and apply this. And you're going to notice that at the very end of this toolbar, if I hover over this last toolbar button, it says Analysis Commentary. And all I need to do is click on it. And there we go. Now my cursor, if you look at my cursor, it changed from a single arrow, and now it has a little bubble with text in it. Like it's ready for me, is ready to give me some analysis commentary. Now let me go ahead and click on this bar right before the trade was generated, because that's when the criteria was met. So let me click on this bar, and it generates this analysis commentary where I see the same information that I printed. It has the SMA true, the RSI true, and the key reversal true, and what the target and the stops were at that moment. That makes sense? And I can do that, and I can switch it to a different bar if I wanted to. So let me go back here. Let's say, for example, this one. Let me click on the one prior to this. You can see this is September 11th, 2024. The date is a little bit more clear because it gives it to you at the very top, and you have all the conditions align in one setup. All right. So that's the difference. So whichever one you like more, whether the analysis commentary or the print log, you can use those to print values and debug your system. Take a look at what the conditions are, what certain values are, and you can then take it from there. Because it's very telling. You can visualize, every step of the calculation and the reasons why a trade may have been taken or not taken, or why an indicator is behaving a certain way. It can all be, analyzed and investigated with the help of print and commentary. All right, guys, this is the end of my class. I want to appreciate the time you spent with me. Hopefully, all this makes sense. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. My email is education@tradestation.com. Let me go ahead and put it right here in the chat. You're welcome to reach out to me for anything, okay? Have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you for your support, and I'll see you in my next class. Goodbye, everyone.